Good morning. Welcome to day 17 of my 30-day healing challenge. This morning I want to talk about the amazing benefits of fasting. I'm sure most of you by now have heard of intermittent fasting. That's been pretty popular, especially over the last few years, I guess. Let me tell you about how I discovered fasting just a few years ago when my gut was leaky, which led to severe food intolerance and sensitivities. It led to something called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I looked like I was about 6 months pregnant anytime I would eat absolutely anything. And I mean that. I have pictures to prove it. It was not pretty. So basically anything that I put in my body, it was just getting right into my bloodstream, and I was pretty much sensitive to everything. So I noticed a huge difference between when I was eating and when I wasn't eating. And when I was not eating, I felt much better. My brain was clearer, but it's not sustainable. You can't just never eat. I remember saying, if only I just didn't have to eat or ever sleep, because I couldn't sleep, I wasn't sleeping, but you need sleep to survive and function, and heal. And I couldn't really eat because of all the symptoms that came from eating. So it was a pretty terrible time, but it did spark my interest in fasting. And why was it, besides for the food sensitivities, why was it that I felt so much better when I wasn't eating? I was like, light bulb. So I started to do my research, and I learned about all the incredible benefits to fasting. And fasting actually became a big part of my healing as well, and I still fast to this day. So you have your intermittent fasting, which a lot of people do practice. And the good thing about fasting is that our digestive system takes up, I think it's like 80% of our energy or something like that. So anytime you eat food, for hours afterwards, your digestive system is working hard to break down that food and do everything it needs to do. And that takes away from healing other parts of your body. So that's why they say it's not great to eat right before bed. You want your organs and things to be healing right before bed. If your body's so focused on digesting what you just ate, you're not getting all those healing properties throughout the night. So it makes all the sense, right? So a lot of people, cancer patients will fast. It helps to actually shrink tumor growth, and it can help with chemotherapy. It can help with the effects of chemotherapy. It's pretty amazing. And it seems unfair, like, oh, you're already sick and now you can't eat either, but in my case, I literally couldn't eat without being very sick. So I felt good when I was fasting, and that was a big part of how I healed my gut. I gave my digestive system a break. Anyway, intermittent fasting is when you eat for an amount of time during the day, and then you fast the rest of the time. So a lot of people know about 16-8 intermittent fasting. That's just where you have an 8-hour eating window during the day. So you eat, say, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. you're eating, and then you do not eat, no calories, between 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. the next day. So you're eating for 8 hours, fasting for 16 hours. What happens during those 16 hours of fasting, or any amount of time that you're fasting, so many amazing things are happening because your body is able to focus on other things besides digesting food during that time. So you're tapping your glycogen, glucose, sugar stores. You are helping to heal insulin resistance. So while you're fasting, your insulin is coming way down. Your body's able to, your liver is able to get rid of all the glucose stores. And eventually you will start to, once all your glucose stores are dried up, essentially, your body will start to produce ketones, and use ketones for fuel instead of sugar, which means that your body is burning fat for fuel instead of sugar. So it can be a bit of a transition at first when you do, like, if you're eating really low carb, your body has to go through the process of trying to deplete all those glycogen stores, and then it will start to produce ketones. And while your body's trying to get into ketosis, that's not always fun if you're not used to it. I'm pretty fat adapted and metabolically flexible at this point, so I can eat a bunch of carbs and then I can switch right over at this point, like within 24 hours, I can switch right over to ketosis, to burning ketones for fuel. The thing about ketosis, being in ketosis and burning ketones for fuel, it's great for your brain health. It helps you to think more clearly. And a lot of people with epilepsy and cancer and different disorders, autoimmune disorders, all kinds of things, are on ketogenic diets for that reason, because it is very healing. Ketones are healing. Now, you don't want to be in ketosis all the time. I like to dip in and out. So intermittent fasting is great for healing. It's great for fat loss. It's great for healing insulin resistance, diabetes. It helps to reduce tumor size. I mean, it helps to, the longer you fast, the more human growth hormone your body is producing. And human growth hormone is important for so many things. It's important for maintaining muscle mass. Short fasts are great for boosting your metabolism, believe it or not. The only reason your metabolism slows down for a lot of people while they're losing weight and it's the calorie restriction that makes people's metabolism slow down, because you're getting some food, but you're not getting quite as much as your body wants and your body's used to. So you might be losing the fat and losing the weight, but your metabolism level is going to come down. Whereas if you start to eat normally again, you're going to gain all the weight right back, because your set metabolism has come down. So you're going to gain the weight right back as soon as you start to increase your calories a little bit. The beautiful thing about fasting is that if you are not taking in any calories whatsoever, your body does not see that as a threat. And especially if you only do it periodically. So if you're intermittent fasting, your metabolism is going to stay right where it is, and sometimes it actually boosts your metabolism a little bit to practice intermittent fasting. So it's a lot of people find it a really great tool for weight loss and for maintenance. And I've just heard so many success stories, and it takes a little getting used to. So you don't have to start right away. If you think about it, say you eat your last meal at 8 p.m. Say right now your last meal is at 8 p.m. Well, you sleep, say you sleep 8 hours, and then you're up at, what would that be? At 5 a.m. Well, just try to hold off a few hours for breakfast in the morning. Just try to hold off as long as you can. Try to go 10 hours in a row without food. Just push your breakfast back a couple hours, and then push it back an hour or two each week until you feel comfortable, and your body will, that ghrelin hormone, your hunger hormone is called ghrelin. And the only reason your tummy is rumbling, you're not actually hungry, because we're walking buffets, my friend. Especially as Americans, we got plenty of fat on our bodies. So you're essentially, when you're fasting, you're walking around, and once you tap those glycogen stores and you are producing ketones, your body will start to burn its own fat for fuel. So it's not always fun to transition from burning sugar to burning ketones. But once you get there, and you can actually go on Amazon and buy little ketone strips to test your ketone levels in your urine. They're extremely inexpensive. So I like to do that. I just like to see when I'm producing ketones and know that I'm walking around and I'm having all these amazing healing benefits, and that I'm burning fat for fuel. It produces BDNF, fasting does, and that's food for your brain. Your brain is essentially growing while you're fasting. Human growth hormone, insulin resistance, or healing insulin resistance. It's anti-aging. Fasting is anti-aging, so it's really, really helpful to practice intermittent fasting. And I even do extended fasting here and there. That's anywhere between 24 to 72 hours. Some people have gone up to 30 plus days. But I like to stick to anywhere between like a 24 to maybe 96-hour fast max. It might sound crazy to some of you, but you actually are much more energetic once you get used to it. It increases your energy. Your brain is really sharp. Picture back in the day, our ancestors, hunters and gatherers, they didn't have food for days on end. So the fast and feast cycle was quite natural. We certainly have gotten out of that with being able to, pick up the phone and order food that gets delivered right to our door, so we don't have to do a lot of work. But back then, they had to wait days for food, and they had to hunt for it. So, our bodies naturally kick it into high gear, and all our energy actually goes up when we're not eating, and we get really sharp and focused so that we can go out and we can hunt and we can make that kill. And then after they would eat, they would stuff themselves full of that animal and then they would get really tired and be able to relax, So you actually have more energy when you're fasting. And once you get used to it, you realize that ghrelin hormone is making you think you're hungry. You're not actually hungry. So it's really a mental game. It really is. something that's important to take into consideration with fasting is electrolytes are important. Back in the day when I would sort of not eat because I felt better, I didn't even really know about all the benefits at first, but I felt better. And then when I did learn about fasting benefits, I hadn't read enough about electrolytes to understand that you need proper electrolyte intake while you're fasting. And of course, that's sodium, potassium, magnesium. So they actually sell electrolyte supplements, or you can simply get some pink Himalayan salt, put a pinch of salt in your water, and a pinch of new or no salt, which is essentially potassium. So you put a pinch of those in your water, mix it up. You can squeeze some lemon in there. You can put a little apple cider vinegar if you want to. But the most important thing is to get those electrolytes in there, that pink salt and that no salt potassium. And if you want to stay hydrated, drink plenty of water while during your fasting window. And of course, it's important also what to eat during your feeding window. A lot of people practice intermittent fasting so that they can eat whatever they want when they're in their feeding window, and that's fine if that works for you, but I like to eat really nutritious, nutrient-dense foods while I'm practicing intermittent fasting. So in my feeding window, I like to get plenty of greens and lean meats and stuff, and just get lots of get my vitamins and everything in there. So let's see, fasting really does have amazing benefits. So think about giving it a try if you're not already. Try 16-8, try fasting for 16 hours, and 12 of those can be overnight, and just push your breakfast back, however it works for you, whatever works best for you. Some people like to eat early in the morning and then end their eating window earlier in the evening. I find most people like to push, because most people aren't that hungry in the morning. Most people like to push it back till like noon, start eating at noon and then finish up around 8 p.m. and then you just don't eat again until 12 the next day. And again, if you ever want to look into extended fasting, I'll post a couple links on that. There are so many incredible benefits to 24+ hour fasting. Once you hit that 24-hour mark, your body starts to go into autophagy mode, and that's when our cells are actually recycling themselves. So our bodies realize they're not getting anything, and they do kind of panic a little bit. The bodies panic a little bit, and they're like, oh, I'm not getting any food. I'm going to have to start eating myself. But it's not starvation unless, if it's a choice, it's not starvation. It's actually incredibly healing. I might sound crazy, but it's true. Lots of research on it. So your cells will start to, that's why it can help to cure cancer. Fasting can, because autophagy kicks in and your cells are recycling themselves, and they're essentially eating the sick, the toxins and everything. So your body, essentially, when you're not eating, your digestive system isn't in overdrive, your body can focus on healing all kinds of things. People have improved eyesight, skin tags fall off, your skin is glowing, you can reduce tumor size. It's pretty much guaranteed, if you try fasting. Obviously talk to your doctor and all that if you're not sure about it, but if you try it and you feel really woozy and lightheaded, add some electrolytes, especially pink salt, see if that helps. If you feel really off and really, really strange, you're probably just your body is probably so used to needing or having to burn sugar for fuel that it is just not used to switching over to burning fat for fuel. That'll make you feel icky, and your glucose might be up and down and all over the place. That's possible. So you might really just have to ease into it. At this point, honestly, I could go a week without food. I'm not going to, but I could, and I would be pretty much fine. I'm metabolically flexible, which just means I can eat a bunch of crap and then not eat the next day, and I'll be fine. I won't really feel too much worse for wear at this point. My body's used to it over the years. So, yeah, fasting is great. Give intermittent fasting a try. Look into extended fasting, all the incredible healing benefits behind that. I hope this wasn't too rambly. I'm just going to go ahead and post it. You know me, I kind of like rambly. I didn't do a video yesterday. It's all good. 30 days in a row is a lot, so it's all good. This was enough for 2-3 videos, right? So that is it for extended fasting, intermittent fasting. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you tomorrow.